Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clint Joker, and welcome to another My Thoughts On. Today, I will be doing My Thoughts on Joe Cornish's Joe Cornish. It's hard to say that in a sentence like that. New film from Joe Cornish. You may know him for Attack of the Block, which I was going to do My Thoughts on, but I didn't have time, I'm afraid. On his new film called The Kid Who Would Be King. And this film is about a kid named Alex, who is played by Louis Ashbourne's Serkis. I wonder if he's related to Andy Serkis. I wonder. Yeah, I wonder. It's about this kid named Alex who happens to find, say it with me now, the sword in the stone. And once he releases the sword, evil is coming. When a new kid named Marlin, or in disguise, I think his name was Martin. I can see what he did there. It's quite clever. He warns Alex and his friends, the Bedders, and then there's two bullies, Lance and Kay, who now have to try and save their world from this evil demon, I guess, named Morgana, played by Rebecca Ferguson, and they have to try and travel all the way to, I don't remember. It's like some place in England that you probably wouldn't know. It's because Alex's dad has left him and his mum, so he thinks, hey, I should go there and get help from him. And that's kind of it. And you think, the kid who would be king? When I first saw the trailer and when I heard about it, I'm like, this is never going to work. It's really like this PG version, or like this really safe version for kids or something. And what were the results? Pretty much what you expect, but in a way, it actually works. First off, this movie's not just your typical British family film. This one actually has some adult elements to it. First off, these kids don't just say heck or gosh, they actually say damn, God, hell, and all that. So at least they are acting like actual kids. And they talk about pop cultural references like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, anything related to like being a knight or all that. They even reference Shrek and Donkey. The humor is pretty much on point. Whenever Martin or whenever Merlin is on screen doing this this hand trick, it gets quite funny, and he does have some genuinely funny moments. In fact, all the kids have really funny moments, and there are times where it gets a little much, but not like Instant Family where it was too much and when I didn't get a laugh. This one was just right. It knew exactly when to make you laugh and when to make you care about the character. I didn't cry at this movie, but I can definitely tell that I actually felt some big heart in the movie, because this movie has a big heart, and in a way, it could be relatable to some kids. You could argue this is like all in the kid's head, like Where the Wild Things Are or something. Even though that movie's better than this, if you're going into this thinking that this is going to be like realistic and all, don't expect that. Sure, you can see all the other characters noticing the demons, and there's this clever thing where at night, the one who holds the sword is still there at night, but everyone else is gone. And I like that. That's actually quite clever. So say what you want, but in my opinion, I think this is all in his head. And I know you're not really supposed to take this seriously, but I think this is all coming from his head, which would make sense since it's a kid's imagination and all that. And while I didn't think the film was very predictable, which is a good thing, at one point I thought it would end, but then the next I was like, oh yeah. Sure, it was like 2 hours long. At one point I thought it felt a bit long. It did kind of drag on. I was like, shouldn't this wrap up by now? But it did end off quite nicely, and I still enjoyed myself, and it was still charming. So the movie never really bothered me about that. While the writing's nothing original, I could definitely see the heart and effort put into this plot, where kids, adults, and anyone who loves knights can relate to, and at the same time have fun with. Visuals. Visually, it's not a bad-looking film. If you're from the UK, you will recognise these locations. For a British film, it looks quite good. I mean, the buildings, the houses, the school, the journey, and the buildings. It definitely has a very Britain look to it, and I like that. I like British-looking films, not just because I am from Britain. It's competently well shot, I think, and it like I said again, it does look quite good. The costumes when the kids wear the armor is cute and quite fun. The CGI is surprisingly decent. Normally I would smash a film for terrible CGI, but this isn't too bad actually, and it doesn't look completely fake. Okay, sometimes it may look a bit off-putting and it doesn't feel like it's in the moment, but keep in mind this is just a family film, and you could argue that this is all in Alex's head. So I will let them pass for that, but for the most part, it's actually quite decent. Like on, oh crap, I forgot her name already. The Rebecca Ferguson villain, Morgana, looks quite decent. Some of the demons look quite cool. The lava, and when you see one of the characters almost about to fall off lava, you can kind of see the green screen effect on them, but it's not too revealing, and you don't see it quite right away. So that's quite good. The action scenes are fun to watch, despite being simple. When it comes to a visual gag, like when you see Merlin turn into an owl, is quite funny. I mean, there's a lot of these in the film, and it's all really funny and really well done. While it may look like a visually average-looking British film, it's what's in its execution and its CGI is what makes it really stand out. Characters and acting. Our main character, Alex, who's played once again, as I said, by Lewis Ashbourne Circus, he's likeable. He's a really likeable, everyday, average kid who you can relate to. He's very charming, he's very funny, he's very endearing. You do want him, to complete his journey. You want him to succeed. I enjoyed him. I thought he was very, very, very good. And his sidekick, Bedders, who some people may know him as the smart one. He does have his funny moments. He never was annoying to me. I thought he was just genuinely quite charming. The two bullies, Lance and Kay, they did start off as a bit of, you're just bullies. They were a bit one-dimensional, but as the film would go on, I actually started to like them, especially Kay. And yes, I'm aware of the whole, what is it? Of that one joke in the trailer that's everywhere where Betty says, "What did you learn to drive?" She says, "Mario Kart." And I do remember the audience I was with laughed at that. I did laugh at that, but I like her. Kay's quite funny, and she's quite serious too. Lance, I thought, is probably the weakest one of the four. He's not bad, but I just never really found him that interesting at all. The young Merlin, or Martin, is amazing. Like, his facial expressions, he's like so over the top, so funny, and so expressive that I actually quite enjoyed him. And the way he does like the little hand trick, you can't see it on screen right now, is so hilarious. And I would imagine he took a lot of practice doing that. So I really enjoyed him. And there's also an older Merlin. And guess who he's played by? Who's he played by? Patrick Stewart. No, I'm not joking. Patrick Stewart. The Patrick Stewart. That reminds me, actually. Patrick Stewart. The Emoji Movie. The Kid Who Would Be King. Rebecca Ferguson. The Greatest Showman. Mission Impossible Fallout. The Kid Who Would Be King. Point is, they're both in better films. They're both in one great film, then two overrated films, and one film that I haven't seen. So yeah. Speaking of Rebecca Ferguson, Morgana's the main antagonist of the movie, and they didn't really do a lot with her. She does do a couple of cool things near the climax, and a one scene where you actually see her fight Alex was felt a bit rushed, but I knew it wasn't over. I'm not giving anything away, but I'm just saying. Am I missing someone? Mary, played by Denise Golf, who is Alex's mum. She's only in the film for about 15 minutes, and she does play a big part in the film, where she has to try and convince Alex about his father, and that he's gone away, and there's this thing near the end where I was like, I want Alex to see his mum again, and they do something really heartfelt with it, and it's not interrupted, it's not forced, it feels quite genuine. This is what I like about the film. Not like the emotions are not forced, they feel so genuine, and these kids are just normal kids. They're not just like some, adults who act like over the top and all that. They actually act like kids, they feel like kids, and the adults treat them exactly like how they should be treated. And the relationship between Alex and his mum is quite genuine, relatable, and really touching too. So, well done, Joe Cornish. I'll give you that you actually knew what you were doing, and unlike the last film, at least he actually had an idea for a film, and at least it actually worked, despite how nonsensical and weird the film is. But that's kind of the whole point, because it could be in Alex's head. That's what I kind of like about it, because when it ends, you're like, it's up to you to decide, is this all real, or is this just part of some fantasy in another world? So that's really cool, and I like that. The acting in the film is absolutely brilliant. I have mentioned about not so good kid actors. Instant Family, the teenage girl was good, the rest of them not. But here, these kids are absolutely brilliant. Lewis Ashbourne Circus is probably the biggest standout. The one who plays Martin or Merlin, I think he's just called Young Merlin, right? Yeah, Young Merlin. Who is it? Angus Imrie is really good as Young Merlin. Let's have a look. Tom Taylor as Lance is pretty good. Rihanna Doris as Kay is actually great. Dean Chayomu as Bedders is really charming. Denise Golf as Mary is also really good. Patrick Stewart, come on, it's Patrick Stewart. He's always a delight. Rebecca Ferguson is great as the main villain Morgana. Everyone else in the film does a really, really good job. And they do act like how they should be if they were from the UK. And I do believe most of these actors are actually from the UK. And the director is from the UK, I knew that. So yeah, not only do you have some interesting characters with an interesting depth, and they are relatable, and they feel like real people, you've also got some terrific acting, especially from some really talented kids. I can see them actually doing quite well for themselves in the future. On a side note, the score of the movie actually feels like an actual movie about knights, and that's also quite cool. Never thought I'd say this, but I actually thought this movie was great. I'm going to be honest with you. When I heard about it... excuse me. When I heard about this movie, I really wasn't interested. But after hearing how well it's doing, and well, okay, I heard it bombed at the box office, but critical-wise, it was doing quite well. And after seeing Instant Family, I thought I need a film that can bring my spirits up, and this movie certainly did. And I'm glad that this movie was made, and I'm glad it speaks to, the young audience and even the older audience too, if you think about it. The plot's well crafted and relatable. Sure, it can be predictable and it kind of can drag on, but the humor is clever and witty, and it has a British taste to it. Visually, it is quite good. The CGI is not half bad. The characters are very well definable and relatable and charming. The acting's terrific, especially from the kids, and the score of the movie makes it feel like a real treat. And in other words, like a film about knights. If you've got kids who are interested in watching something for the family or whatever, I do recommend this film, even though How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, and The Lego Movie 2 are better. But if you can, see at least one of the three or all of the three, because no matter what, all three of these films are really damn good. So the rating I'm going to give it is a 8.7. Not perfect, not a masterpiece, but just a really great, really fun, and really surprisingly just relatable film. I was really surprised by the film. So yeah. So yeah, that's it for my thoughts on today. I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but I think Captain Marvel. And just between that, I'm gonna try and do a PIF list for scariest ones. And I was on this server, which you can join, by the way, in the description, about which lists can I do for my next PIF list. One of them said I can do a scary one, so that's what I'm going to do. So look out for that, and if you have seen The Kid Who Would Be King, let me know in the comments below. I'm interested in what you think about it. And anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. And until next time, bye for now.